the full crumble essentially of Sayaka as a person, and the emotional stability of her is gone, There's nothing remaining there. She's losing it completely. She's just like, if I have this thing and this is my soul itself, let's tear the body apart. Let's just see what happens. Let's see. Let's really put it to the test, which is a scary thing. And having her friends sit here and having to watch on is also an even scarier thought. So I don't know what she's up to. I don't know what she does. Ideally, we somehow convince her that this isn't the route, we bring some sense to her. We back her down. We work, coordinate this as a group, complete this, get her out of this, get her back in a good state of mind, What's likely to happen is not that. I don't know. I'm praying we don't lose another member. Praying not this episode, at least. Because I like Sayaka. Don't want that to happen to Sayaka. But we'll have to end up seeing what happens. Hopefully she is okay. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Hopefully I enjoy. If you like it all, like and subscribe to me. Feel free to stick around for the discussion. Let me comments of this better series. Going with the 8th episode of Madoka Magica. Yeah, starting off fun already. Fun for who? I still love the outlines of them. I think it's so cool. They could all be shaped exactly the same, and because of the color. Easy. I'll be unstoppable. With the tilt. She was here for you. Oh. I got nervous there for a second. So it still takes a physical toll on you? Exhaustion of it, or... Throwing at her. Alrighty, starting with the sad. But why? Let's also win. Does she hate it when somebody who doesn't fight themselves tells you what to do? You tell me all this is bad. Give me some answers. This is me. Yep. All for a wish. Especially someone like you who doesn't have to go through it. Was she happy before though? Yeah. Ah. Gets more and more clouded here. So now she actually has to force herself back into battle again. Quicker than needed before. This is such a fun area. Okay, when? Do we know? Good question. You're the last one we want to tell. Ugh. Nope. I haven't welcomed you personally since the beginning. Oh. You knew this was gonna happen.
聞くだけのことは聞いたわ。消えなさい。あいつの言ってた厄介事ってのは何なんだ？彼女のソウルジェムは汚れを溜め込みすぎたのよ。早く浄化しないと取り返しのつかないことになる。
She handed that away. Does it come directly from like how does one get cursed here is where I'm confused now. Is it through what she's doing and the way that she's fighting is causing this damage even though it's not directly coming to her? Or is it simply just because she hasn't had anything to kind of purify it? Is it actually something can somehow kind of come within it and taint it? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just misremembering something.
今まで帰り道に見かけたことってないよね。ええ、本当は全然逆方向ですわ。じゃあ今日はどうして？
Time to find out. Are you just pushing your friend, or do you mean any of this? Mm.
ソウルジェムも限界のはずよ。今すぐ浄化しないと。使いなさい。
Same one. Nope.
もう人を疑ってる場合じゃないでしょ。そんなに助けられるの嫌なの。あんたたちとは違う魔法少女に。
Yeah, because you'll be dead no night at this rate.
出るのも利用するのも。そんなことをする奴らとつるむのも嫌だ。見返りなんていらない。私だけは絶対に自分のために魔法を使ったりしない。あなた死ぬわよ。私なんてこの世界にはいらないよ。ねえ、どうしてあなたを助けたいだけなの？どうして信じてくれない？
Do you know?
どうしてかな。ただなんとなく分かっちゃうんだよね。あんたが嘘つきだってこと。あんた何もかも諦めた目をしてる。いつも空っぽの言葉を喋ってる。今だってさ、私のためとか言いながら本当は全然別のこと考えてるんだ。
I mean, she saved you a variety of other times, but I also don't know if I buy this at all.
あなたはますますマドカを苦しめるのね。マドカは関係ないでしょ。いいえ、何もかもあの子のためよ。
Everything you say.
鋭いわ。ええ、図星よ。私はあなたを助けたいわけじゃない。あなたが破滅していく姿をマドカに見せ。
And force her into unnecessary action.
どうせあなたは死ぬしかない。これ以上マドカを悲しませるくらいなら。
I'll go out of my way and do this.
この手で今すぐ殺してあげるわ。ミキサヤカ。
So that's the last person you probably would have expected there, huh? Ah, Miss Sayaka.
なるほどね。こんな風にとっ捕まったままだとあの妙な技も使えないってわけか。
I can do other things.
すぐ食ったらね、ことに使っちまうからね。いやー、ほんと女は人間扱いしちゃダメっすね。犬かなんかだと思ってしつけないとね。あいつもそれで喜んでるわけだし、顔殴るぞって脅せばまず大抵は黙りますもん。
It's so stupid.
身の程わきまえろってんだ。 ね、捨てる時がさ、ほんとうざいっすよね。その辺翔さんうまいから羨ましいっすよ。俺も見習わないと。
ねえ、その人のこと聞かせてよ。
はい。
今あんたたちが話してた女の人のこと、もっとよく聞かせてよ。
Oh, that bitch.
お嬢ちゃん中学生、夜遊びは良くないぞ。
その人、あんたのことが大事で喜ばせたくて頑張ってたんでしょ。
Well, look how you treat her. Look what you say.
なのに犬と同じなの。ありがとうって言わないの。この世界って守る価値あるの？私何のために戦ってたの？教えてよ。
People like you?
今すぐあんたが教えてよ。でないと私。
Corruption.
君も僕のことを恨んでいるのかな？
Yes, fuck you. Fuck you.
あなたを恨んだらさやかちゃんを元に戻してくれる？無理だ。それは僕の力の及ぶことじゃ。いつか言ってた。私がすごい魔法少女。
No, 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 no.
すごいなんていうのは控えめな表現だ。君は途方もない魔法少女になるよ。おそらくこの世界で最強の。私が引き受けてたらさやかちゃんは魔法少女にならずに済んだのかな。さやかは彼女の願いを遂げた。その点についてマドカは何の関係もない。
Your decision might have something to do with her, though.
なぜ君一人だけがそれほどの素質を備えているのか、理由は未だにわからない。
I have a few guesses.
自分なんて何の取り
Yeah, I have a few guesses. That might be one of the reasons, too.
このまま誰のためになることも何の役に立つこともできずに最後までただなんとなく生きていくだけ。
That's how a lot of people feel.
それは悔しいし寂しいことだけど。
Well, that's how they feel. But it is what it is. You just keep going through the motions.
私ならできるのかなというと、私があなたと契約したら
We won't know unless we try. We won't know unless we try.
魂を差し出すに足るものかい。さやかちゃんのためなら
No, no. Homura, show up.
私魔法少女に。
Thank you. Thank you. About fucking time. Let's go. Thank you. No, she did. She did. She did. She did.
なんであなたはいつだってそうやって自分を犠牲にして。
Don't you want to live? Don't you care about
役に立
yourself?
たないとか今だけとか
Mm,
勝手に自分を粗末にしないで。
you don't even
思
know.
う人のことも考えていい加減にしてよ。あなたを失えばそれを悲しむ人がいるってどうしてそれに気づかないの？
Mm-hmm.
守ろうとしてた人はどうなるの？どこかで会ったことあるの？私と。それはごめん。私さやかちゃんを探さないと。待って。
I don't have time for you.
さやかはもうごめんね。
Decision to up and leave here too is really cool.
割はいくらでもあるけど無意味に潰されるのは困るんだよね。もったいないじゃないか。
Theatrics. Ew. Shit look like stuffing. Solely as a way to push
君
her.
に殺されたのはこれで2度目だけれど、おかげで攻撃の特性も見えてきた。
Mm-hmm.
時間操作の魔術だろ、さっきのは。やっぱりね。
Not the first time you
なん
used
となく
this.
察しはついてたけれど、君はこの時間軸の
Nope.
人間じゃないね。お前の正体も企みも私は全て知ってるわ。なるほどね。だからこんなにしつこく僕の邪魔をするわけだ。そうまでして要まどかの運命を変えたいのかい？ええ、絶対にお前の思い通りにはさせない。キューベ。いいえ、インキュベーター。
Hmm. Well, there's full confirmation. I feel like all I need to make me feel valid for how I felt every episode up to this point.
もう何もかもわけわかんなくなっちゃった。
How'd I get to the point I'm at now? Yeah, that don't look good.
希望と絶望のバランスは差し引きゼロだっていつだったかあんたは言ってたよね。今ならそれ
fuck.
確かに私は何人か救いもしたけどさ、だけどその分心には恨みや妬みが溜まって、
Yes, it did.
他の誰かを呪わずにはいられない。私たち魔法少女ってそういう仕組みだったんだね。
But it hits the hardest when it's those close to him.
私ってほんとバカ。この国では成長途中の女性のことを少女って呼ぶんだろ。だったらやがて魔女になる君たちのことは魔法少女と呼ぶべきだよね。
Huh. Can I just say, fuck the rodent completely. I'm glad that I had a little bit of salvation here for a moment, you know, being able to see all them holes put in them. But damn, that made me feel so good. But then they pulled it away from me, which was some bullshit, and I'm not very happy with it. But we fucking explode. We give out everything that we need to. We tell you most of the info that's been basically hinted and assumed up to this point, which is always still great that you're able to get it. Just because it's obvious doesn't mean that it dampens the reveal any bit if they do it excellent, and they did. So that's a plus, and I really appreciate that. So we discover a lot. How do I... Well, we'll do the episode. It's easier to frame things, I think, when you go through the episode and like properly kind of structure everything. So the descent of Sayaka continues, which I think is really well illustrated throughout the episode, being able to immediately have her just kind of have this collapse happen and then throw away any sort of way to keep herself safe and keep herself alive, basically, by getting rid of the grief seed here. So that is all kind of makes sense. Yeah, she's an idiot for sure for doing that. So the entire process leading up to what she ends up finding out here, or what ends up occurring to her by the back end of this, leaves me questioning a few things. So one, you die straight up if the destruction of your thing ends up occurring, of your gem here ends up fully occurring. So if that happens, right, mommy, for instance, you die out completely. If you don't have that happen, and instead the entire thing just gets kind of tainted and clouded here, you essentially turn into a witch, if I have that correct, right? If I don't, please correct me on that. But I believe that's exactly what goes down here. So Sayaka makes the assumption, or not assumption, but determination from early on here that she physically just can't, and I guess not physically, mentally just can't get over the hump here of knowing that she is no longer herself, knowing that her soul and her being itself is not associated or connected with this body at all. Most people, even myself included to an extent, will watch this episode, will watch her say these things and just be like, get the fuck over it. Like, you gotta live with it. That's what it is now. You made this decision. I know you didn't know beforehand, but that's on you. You should have asked more questions and figured things out, you know? But if we just want to take it for what it is, we have to realize you can't really tell somebody to just get over something. And some people have a more difficult time of dealing and coping with things than others do. So she unfortunately comes down to the determination that if this is going to happen, I would rather die than continue my life living like this, which is a very sad thing to see. So instead of taking the appropriate, correct route, which is just shattering the thing likely and ending yourself, I don't know if it's that easy or if they're extremely durable in any sort of way, or you actually need to have this kind of attacked or taken when you're in battle, which if that were to be the case, maybe you should have kind of just laid it out there for somebody else to do. So if we're going to ignore all that, I'm going to take it as she continued to fight and do exactly as she initially intended, which is do good by having this new power, but I'll do it till the end. So I'll continue on and do everything that I can until it gets to that point that it's too far, and when it's too far, we end up kind of just are done for. But she doesn't know that once this entire thing fills up, she basically just becomes a witch in herself, which then makes perfect sense for the constant population of new ones popping up over time, with all these people formerly essentially being magical girls. So all of that tracks perfectly. And for the most part, Sayaka kind of gets exactly what she wanted in both scenarios, where she gets to accomplish her goals, but at the same time lose herself along the way. She snaps, she completely says a whole bunch of things. Likely, I don't know if it's just her emotions and everything boiling up here and needing somebody to vent and take this out on, so Madoka ends up being that person, or if it's a way to try and separate herself entirely from her so that she no longer follows her and has to be kind of close by her and see her when whatever ends up occurring to her does. Either way, definitely sucks, and she realizes that immediately, that, you know, you wish that you didn't say that, but she's not in the wrong for a majority of the things that she says, right? Absolutely everything that you're telling me, you're one of those people who haven't gone through this yourself at all, don't understand the mental toll that this is kind of taking on me, and you're sitting here essentially telling me what I just said earlier: get over it, you know, or don't think about it like that, or think about it this way, or do this way, or just telling you how to handle the situation when you haven't had to put yourself on the line at all, right? Your life hasn't been at stake this entire time, and instead you're going to tell me exactly what to do. And people hate that, right? That's why people hate others who kind of judge things, right? That's why when I've had multiple times before where I'll criticize, say, animation for certain series that we kind of get into, and people be in the comments being like, what the fuck do you know? You don't even know how to do this, but you can't animate anything, but you can't even draw something. I bet you can't do none of that. It's like, right, I don't, but I can tell you what I see with my eyes, and I can make judgments based on how that makes me feel, how that impacts me, and how I think that that quality overall upholds itself compared to the other things that I do. Being truly open and honest with myself and what I'm trying to do, and to you guys, what I'm trying to do here with the experiences that I'm getting out of this, and speaking on it, giving my honest opinions, it's something that's necessary for me to speak on at multiple points. If it's really good, I praise it. If it's really bad, I tell you it sucks. And that's just kind of how it is, how it makes me personally feel and how I view it. It's the same thing how everything else goes, right? It's how music works. It's how a variety of other things work. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. It's not a preference for you, or it just isn't good in your opinion because you have standards of things and it just doesn't reach those bars. And if it doesn't, it's not like you're invalidated entirely for what you're stating solely off of the idea that you can't create that yourself, or that you can't actively do these things yourself, right? But at the same time, there is a certain level where you can't criticize certain technicalities or certain things on what's happening due to you not actually being there, right? I can't tell you that. I can tell you on a surface level something sucks for what it is, but can I get down in detail exactly as to why, without ways of me being able to maybe propose ways to have it fixed? No, I can't do that. But at the same time, can I also not jump in there and tell you that they should have did this, or they should have did this instead, while not knowing the budget restrictions that they found themselves on, or the time restrictions and the things that they felt themselves on, right? I can only make observations based on what I see, but making these other claims in hindsight doesn't really work. So there's like certain levels to it. So what Madoka's doing, I don't think is entirely wrong for trying to talk you down and bring you back to life a little bit more here, right? Bring your mental, make you a little bit more even out, and instead of feeling entirely one way, and get you to think a little bit more critically here. But at the same time, Sayaka has strong points of you're not involved, you're not directly in this, so it makes it even harder, right? It's another argument of people who are in relationships, right? It's so much harder to be on the inside of it and tell you exactly what you should do, or have you know exactly what you should do, I guess I should say. And those on the outside might tell you somebody's bad for you, or something isn't a good thing, or don't make that decision, or don't do that, right? Like, try and dictate and direct everything that you do, but at the same time, they're not involved, so they can't make that sort of decision or do those actions or whatever it is that you're telling them to in the same way. Plus, they are not you, so whatever you would do or whatever you feel or think doesn't directly mean exactly what they do. There's no 100% right or wrong answer here, so it makes it extremely complicated and complex for you to have to kind of deal with this. And as somebody who's in the mental state that Sayaka finds herself in, venting all of this stuff outwardly towards somebody who's just trying to tell you what to do instead of just being a helping, like a listening ear here for you, it makes sense that she would lose it entirely and kind of snap on you. I like the faces. I love the head tilt that we get. I love her just kind of looking back on it like this. Pretty funny. And they do a good job because of like the way that the eyes are kind of drawn and everything, that when you zoom her out here, it looks kind of like a loss of life almost, which I think looks really excellent. I'm assuming this is just Homero's place. Oh yeah, it is. They show her name. That's why I was so confused. What the fuck is this room? Which perfectly like, this is her. Like that makes sense. But also makes sense just like the time, the clocks, the things that she's kind of after. Is there anything that gets like focused here? We got I mean basically everything that we're seeing, outlines and silhouettes essentially of different magical girls and people that she needs to maybe place focus on and stuff over time. What are you basing this on? Statistics, of course, can't come out. We've talked about this last episode. I won't go fully into it again of why she doesn't reveal certain things. Still don't necessarily love it in its entirety, but we still have to wait and figure out answers a little bit more before I can make that judgment. Cube shows up and is like, I guess you didn't want me here. No, the fuck we do. She has this curse with her. I'm going to kind of lead you in that direction for you to know. But not telling us in a way that's beneficial towards us, but more so in a way to understand Homura a little bit more, and based on her own reaction and the feelings that you can kind of get off of her under the assumption that she already knows these things. And then you're kind of like, you want to tell me a little bit more? I'm already kind of clued in here. Just disregarding that in its entirety. Gem is too tainted. Some bad stuff is eventually gonna happen and go down. Oh, and look what's going on here. So I don't have full understanding of the sequence of them being here. I don't know because we don't get like the full-on dialogue of what she says. My assumption here was gonna be, let me go all the way to the end, but not actually like tell him, because I don't fully believe that she has feelings towards him. And it's more of, will Sayaka jump in here and put a stop to it and actually come clean with herself? So you're going to commit fully in case she is here watching, which she ends up being. But I guess we could also have a scenario where, because they're like laughing and happily talking about it, maybe they're literally just talking about Sayaka and that's why. Maybe she comes forward and tells her feelings, Sayaka's feelings, that is, to him, which I wouldn't like, because you don't ever go out of your way and tell other people their feelings towards them. Like that doesn't make any sense. But I don't put it past her, I guess, for doing that. Or she actually did have feelings, which I didn't buy at all up to this point, and she did come clean and tell him, and Sayaka still to this point can't separate that and just loses it. So we immediately get flashed out of her fighting different battles against the familiars here, and to a point that it just isn't smart. Homura is interesting here overall with what she has. We learn about like the giving up and the way that Sayaka feels, but Homura gets to a point where she tries to convince her that she needs to stay alive here. Because she's trying to keep her alive, and instead pushes it even further where she like essentially threatens to kill her. So my guess on Homura's scenario here is understanding, if we're trying to keep the pure non-magical girl Madoka alive, or a being in itself, we have to prevent anything that can kind of cause her from doing that. So we have to figure out what has occurred in the previous timelines to avoid that. So one of those things that actually happens here is Sayaka becoming tainted or being too far gone, would be my guess, right? So if we want to put full like change to that, we have to stop that at all costs. So we can just kind of lie to her and tell her this, or we can come clean and say how much that Madoka actually means to her and how important she is to her, or we can threaten to kill you and push it all the way through to make you realize that we don't care. And maybe in that glimpse with your life essentially flashed right before your eyes here, you can maybe find that reason to live again, right? That reason to continue on. So I guess a variety of other things, but it also, I guess, could just be she actually does mean this, and she's like, I'll do this before you transform. Or no, maybe she will just let her. Because I'm trying to think of it Homura's perspective, where we've talked about before, if you're trying to trace every step, you have to let things naturally occur the way that they are, while maybe like giving slight warnings here or there that maybe won't have the full outcome, but by the end possibly can. So like lay little hints every now and again, which she essentially does by telling Madoka, you can't become one of these, and without really giving her too much of a valid reason. So maybe by the end, when she sees all the negative things that kind of occur with the magical girls and the people around her, it'll come into her mind a little bit more, I can't do this. And it'll be smart for me if I don't do this. And she remembers all those times that Homura ends up telling her that. So I guess that could be a strategy at play here. But Yeah, actually starting to lean more towards the idea that Homura fully intended to not kill her here, but at the same time was well aware that she would become a witch by the end of this and willingly let that happen, just to not avoid or just to avoid letting anything really change its course. That would be my guess. But she does reveal a little bit about how important Madoka actually ends up becoming to her. I don't remember actually if that was in this conversation or occurs a little later, but she ends up saying that, which we still don't fully have a reason for. My guess would just be it's at its simplest form. You're the only hope. Like you're the savior that can kind of release us from the infinite cycle that we find ourselves in, which we later get with the Kyubey conversation, and I'll talk a little bit more in there, but that would be the guess that I almost have. This conversation is just hilarious to me. Like it's fucked up, it's bad, like everything about it, and I get that, and I'm not trying to like be here in support of any of this by me laughing over it, but I just thought it was funny because the tone and like anime that you typically get and the way that they translate things and say everything is usually so censored, almost like they do things in a certain way. So when you start calling people like bitches and start like just dropping certain words in there and being like, I just wish these women would shut the fuck up, like just it's funny to me that they would actually just go there, but it pushes it to a point, and at this point Sayaka loses herself fucking completely. And that was my guess up to this, was if she gets fully consumed, does she become this thing? And I at multiple points thought about saying it, but something else happened in the episode and I didn't, so now I'm like very upset because it seemingly has happened, but I'm assuming those guys will end up dying here. Here's this conversation. You hate me? Yeah, fuck you. Get the fuck out of here. Sayaka's still a magical girl if I took it before her? Listen. That's kind of just what happens. And then we push it even further and further. You are at a level that nobody else has ever seen. You're literally her. Nobody has ever been like that. And you could be a fucking god potentially. So we have to give this a shot. We have to see what actually would come out of this. It'd be easy for you. And push her further and further and further. We learn a little bit about Madoka too, about her feelings towards herself, thinking that she's painfully average with everything, never really being anything, never really having these goals or these dreams towards anything, just acceptance of her role and her place within society, a feeling that a lot of people have, which is really gross, but it's true. I mean, it absolutely is true. You become content at a certain point, or you become accepted, or you just accept the feelings that you see those around you who excel at things, but you also see those around you who struggle at things, and then you almost just feel like you're in the middle, and you kind of content not being at the bottom, but you're also not being at the top, and you just live your life, you coast through it without really any aspirations to become somebody special, something unique at any point. And then it forces you down. That almost becomes like some of the worst, when somebody just full on accepts those things, because you almost feel like they're just kind of accepting like that's their life, and they essentially might just become like really depressed, feeling that there is nothing that stands out really about them. And it's a really sad kind of place of being for her to be at, but I kind of get it at multiple levels. Kyubey getting shot up here makes me so fucking happy. I love that. What an image. This is gonna be like my new wallpaper going forward. I love this. Fuck that guy. She drops the fucking 9. She has to show him the power. You didn't have to kill him. No, I did. Why are you sacrificing yourself? You can't help anyone. You're useless because you're just average. Think about those who care about you. An argument that we often hear. And this is like a shout that comes directly at somebody like Sayaka here, right? You don't understand that there are people who grieve when you die, right? What did you say before that? Think about those who care about you. These are all things that people out here trying so hard to protect you and trying so hard to care about you. It parallels exactly with that, but also with the scenario that we find ourselves with Homura trying to essentially protect Madoka from becoming what she eventually probably will here. I think it works extremely well. Something that potentially you hadn't even thought about before allows her to immediately see how important she is and how much she's been trying, even though you don't really understand it in that moment. It just becomes painfully clear for her here that something happens. I love her just getting up and running away here. She's not the type to like really do that, but realizing, like, especially through conversation and what just happened, like, yeah, I probably got to go save this person. So immediately looks for her, even though it being too late. It's pointless to do what you did. as we get to see this gross scene, essentially him just eating himself and taking form once again. And just her instant like ability to snap back into this makes me feel she's just putting on like a show for her by like, let me just push you as much as I can to really show you that I'm like, I care and I try, and like laying my little traps here and here and there, my little hints that I got for you about what's kind of going on, and wasn't actually like so heartbroken and destroyed there that she actually broke down, and all of that kind of just overwhelmed her. I don't know. You're aware this is the second time that you've done this. It's not the first. You have ability to kind of, that's what your magic actually does. What did he call it? Time something. I'm not going to get it. Whatever. You're not from the timeline, though. That's what we end up finding. So you're trying to stop her fate. So her fate assumption would be you will eventually become a magical girl and probably turn into a witch over time through you just getting ultra depressed with this being your living for now on. That would be my guess. And Homer right here is essentially trying to put a stop to that, which then confirms everything that I felt up to this point about Kyubey, about what his intended goals and uses for her and for the others kind of were, and Homer's role in all of this. There might not be a good guy. Homer might have also bad intentions too at certain points that haven't really been displayed to us, but from everything that's on the table now, we have to think that Homer is probably in the right of trying to free them from their cycle and everything that they're in, and allow them to kind of just live and be normal girls instead of what they are. And the only way to kind of prevent that from actually happening, or to prevent the destruction essentially of this world by creating this ultra witch that we're going to get with Madoka becoming one, we should probably avoid all of this. So I see her in the right as of right now, until we really see anything that they say a little bit further. Sure, I managed to do a few things. Sure, I did all of this other stuff, but I hurt so many of those around me. Oh, what is even my purpose? What is my reason for being here anymore? Whenever we pray for someone's happiness, someone else must be cursed in exchange. Yeah. Maybe I'm thinking of it wrong, but yeah. Because in some sort of way, that has to happen. There's no world where everybody benefits, you know? And whether it's not in the immediate, it's eventually somebody will be cursed in the sense that you are, or cursed in the sense that just something unfortunate occurs to them as a result of what you do, you know? I think in most scenarios that I can think of, you make like a product of something, if it's similar enough to another business or somebody else, it's going to slowly put somebody else out, which ends up hurting their pockets or potentially jobs and stuff of other people. You pray for the happiness of somebody else that actually comes to life, and then somebody else has to, unfortunately, like suffer at some point throughout life as a result of that. So I guess I can kind of get that. Maybe I'm thinking of it like slightly wrong, but I feel that. It's all we really are as magical girls, and I was an idiot for even doing this, and it just consumes her here. Everything crumbles and cracks and it blows her away. In this world, women who have not yet to fully grow are called girls, right? Well, in that case, it only makes sense that one day you grow into witches and should be called magical girls. Ha, fuck you. Stupid. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. We've kind of could have seen that coming for sure. So the Kyubey, the incubator, which we end up getting brought up, which I didn't really think about, but it's essentially like a place of being, allowing them to become something and start off as something that eventually grows and blossoms into something usually beautiful, but here not necessarily the case. He's the person who plants the seed, who gives them the foundation and gives them life as magical girls, who eventually he can kind of keep under his own watch until they grow up into something that he can freely let move, which then become witches, which to me just indicates you're bad all the way through. Your intended being is to create these things that are on these endless cycles of becoming witches, basically, and you can essentially achieve most of the power that you end up needing by that happening for whatever the purpose would be. So the intent of going after somebody with as much power as Madoka ends up being, I need you to become a what would it be? I need you to become a witch, like this ultra like being that would be like fully unstoppable, this godlike being, as you almost described it before, that then I could achieve whatever I really want to achieve, which I really don't fully know yet, but will be able to. And I wonder if like protection isn't something that he can offer, so it naturally happens, or if it's like a natural selection thing where we kind of just like train these, so like beings like mommy he just can willingly let die, or if he has the ability to kind of step in and prevent that from occurring, and maybe she didn't have the potential needed to become what he's intending for, or if it's, like I said, just a natural selection thing and he just kind of picks and chooses and lets this happen, and then after you become one, if you become what he wants, then it works. But his goal is to take all these girls and force them into becoming ultra depressed and, and becoming this, which is a little sad. It's funny too because it's like sad, like, and depressing what it really is, but for me, like, I find it hard to like sit here and act like really like sad or depressed over like any of the things that are happening. Like, to me it's just more like intriguing and like gets me like more excited, if anything. So I don't know. I don't know if that's like a criticism that can potentially be put on the show itself, or if that's just a personal thing. I guess I would have to see like how it makes others feel. Like if anybody finds this stuff like sad to the point that they become like they cry or like emotional in certain ways that are maybe more depressing. I don't know. Because like for me, I don't get that. I just like when it happens, I'm like fuck, but like I'm like excited to see where we're gonna head with it. So I don't know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed though. Great episode. Very, very thrilled to see where we go now as we have expanded things so much more, and we have so much more to handle going forward. But yeah, if you liked it all, like and subscribe to lots, may feel free to check out the channel and comments with this series. I'll be back for episode 9 next week. Hopefully. Hope you guys have a great one.